Hi, my name is Sarah and I am a gardener. But as for today, I will be your biology teacher. But no, we're not going to learn here, of course. So come on, follow me. Alright, today we will be learning about nutrition in plants, specifically in subtopic 3.1, which is main inorganic nutrients. Oh, and not to forget, this slide is brought to you by Nurhada binti Khalil from Hulu Selangor Science School. Now, let's get started. Introduction. Plants are an incredible multicellular organisms with the amazing ability to make their own food from carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. They provide the foundation of many food webs, and animal life would not exist if plants were not around. Plants are as essential to human existence as land, water, and air. Without plants, our day-to-day lives would be impossible because without oxygen from photosynthesis, aerobic life cannot be sustained. From providing food and shelter to serving as a source of medicines, oils, perfumes, and industrial products, plants provide humans with numerous valuable resources. And that is why it is crucial for us to take care of our plants and make sure they are healthy. But how do we do so? The answer is by making sure our plants get enough nutrients. Main inorganic nutrients are divided into two, which is macronutrients and micronutrients. What are macronutrients? Macronutrients are elements which plants require in relatively large amounts. There are three main macronutrients, which are carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Did you notice that these three elements can be found in the atmosphere? And that is why lack of these nutrients are rarely experienced. Other examples of macronutrients are calcium, potassium, phosphorus, nitrogen, sulfur, and magnesium. Now, let's go a little bit deeper and learn about the functions and necessity of macronutrients. First off, we have the three main components, which is carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. These three main components is important in carbon and oxygen cycle. It is component in all organic compounds of plants, and it is also important in synthesis of sugar. If a plant is lack of these three elements, there will be no photosynthesis, there will be less oxygen released, and lastly, the plant's growth will be stunted and can also cause death. This is because there is no glucose. Next, we have nitrogen. Nitrogen gives green color to plants through chlorophyll. It is the main components of proteins, nucleic acids, and enzymes in photosynthesis and respiration. Without nitrogen, leaves will undergo chlorosis. Chlorosis is a situation where the leaves will become yellow, the underlying leaves will fall off, protein synthesis will be disrupted, and there will also be stunted growth. Next, we have potassium. Potassium is important in protein synthesis and carbohydrate metabolism. It also acts as a cofactor for some enzymes, and it also helps to maintain plant agility. Without potassium, protein synthesis will be disrupted, the edges of leaves will become yellowish, and premature death of plants. Next, we have calcium. Calcium is a main component of middle lamella, cell wall, and spindle fibers during cell division. Without calcium, the plants will undergo stunted growth, the leaves will become distorted and lobed, and parts between leaf veins will become yellowish. Next is magnesium. Magnesium is the main component of the structure of chlorophyll molecule. It also activates some plant enzymes, and it is involved in carbohydrate metabolism. Without magnesium, parts between major leaf veins will become yellowish, there will be red spots on leaf surfaces, and the leaves will become lobed. Next is phosphorus. Phosphorus plays a part in synthesis nucleic acids and ATP and phospholipids. It also acts as a coenzyme in photosynthesis and respiration. Lack of phosphorus will cause unhealthy root growth, dark green and dull colored leaves will be formed, red or purple spots will be formed on all the leaves. Lastly, we have sulfur. Sulfur is one of the components of a few amino acids, and it is also one of vitamin B constituents and a few types of coenzymes. Without sulfur, leaves or the whole plant will turn yellow. Now that you have learned about macronutrients, what are micronutrients? Micronutrients are elements which plants require in much smaller amounts. It is also known to support macro functions. The examples of micronutrients are chlorine, iron, manganese, boron, nickel, zinc, molybdenum, and copper. Functions and necessity of micronutrients. First off, we have chlorine. Chlorine is important in equilibrium of osmotic pressure in cells and photosynthesis reaction. Without chlorine, the plants will wilt, the root growth will become slow, the leaves will undergo chlorosis, and there will be less fruit production. Next is iron. Iron acts as a cofactor in chlorophyll synthesis. It is also important in growth of young plants. Without iron, the young leaves will become yellowish. Next, we have boron. Boron helps the roots in calcium ion uptake and sucrose translocation. It is also involved in carbohydrate metabolism and helps in pollen germination. Without boron, the terminal buds can die and there will be abnormal growth of the plant. The leaves will also become thicker, rolled up, and fragile. Next, we have zinc. Zinc is important in leaf formation. It also helps in synthesis of auxin, which is one of the growth hormone. It also acts as a cofactor in carbohydrate metabolism. Lack of zinc will cause the leaf surfaces to become spotted with chlorosis spots, and the growth of the plant will be stunted. Next, we have manganese. Manganese activates photosynthetic enzymes, and it is also important for cell respiration and nitrogen metabolism. Without manganese, there will be a network of dark green leaf veins with a background of light green, and light brown or grey spots in between leaf veins will be formed. Next, we have nickel. Nickel is a component of plant enzymes involved in urea breakdown into ammonia. Lack of nickel will cause stunted growth, and it also reduces crop production. And lastly, burn effect at the end of leaves is because of urea accumulation. Next is molybdenum. Molybdenum is involved in nitrogen fixation and nitrate reduction during protein synthesis. Lack of molybdenum will cause chlorosis in between mature leaf veins. The leaf color will become pale green, and it will also reduce crop production. And lastly, we have copper. Copper is involved in nitrogen metabolism and photosynthesis. It is also important for growth, reproduction, and flower formation. Lack of copper will cause death of young shoot apex, brown spots on terminal leaves, and plants will become stunted. Now, let's get to know about NOP solution. NOP solution is a culture solution that contains all nutrients, including trace elements needed by healthy plants. The table shown is a composition of a complete NOP culture solution. It contains of calcium nitrate, potassium dihydrogen phosphate, magnesium sulfate, iron triphosphate, and distilled water. Julius Sachs and Wilhelm Knopp were the botanists who carried out experiments to determine the role of macronutrients in plant growth. Meanwhile, Wilhelm Knopp is the one who prepared the culture solution, and that is why this solution is named NOP solution. The picture shown is a comparison between a plant with a complete culture solution and a plant with incomplete culture solution. This is how a normal and healthy leaf would look like, and these are the examples of how leaves that is lack of nutrients would look like. Since we are staying at home and we might have a lot of free time, why don't we learn to make our own organic fertilizer? The items you can use is coffee grounds, seaweed, gelatin, white vinegar, eggshells, and lastly, banana peels. Did you notice that most of the items I mentioned, you already have it at home? So instead of throwing them away, maybe you can give it to your plants. Coffee grounds is filled with nitrogen, and it also helps to increase the soil acidity. Next, seaweed contains mannitol that helps to increase plants' ability to absorb nutrients in soil. Gelatin is a great source of nitrogen, and it also helps to produce big and healthy plants. White vinegar contains acetic acid, which is great for plants, and you can use this on roses and various other houseplants. Eggshells contains a lot of calcium, and also helps with cellular growth. And lastly, banana peel is rich in potassium, and it also contains calcium and phosphorus. That's the end of this video, and I hope everyone gained a lot of knowledge today. Let's all take good care of our plants for our own future and a fresh environment. Well, I have to continue gardening now. Goodbye and thank you for watching.